What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And today we got the third video in the trilogy with Terra Luna. Did a couple videos in the past talking about Terra's crash, the founder, and now the founder has a recovery plan that he put out and talks about how he's going to recover the ecosystem and just make everything so great again. And I just don't see if it's really can do that at this point. The biggest problem is Terra's chart, collapsed to zero. So getting people's confidence back to put money with you again is going to be the biggest hurdle by itself. Why would people trust this system if in the past it went to zero? And he has plans to try and negate that, but it just doesn't matter. The trust that was there, that you had to put money in here, if it went to zero before, it's going to be very difficult to put money in there for a longer period of time ever again. We can see his entire map out plan here. He tweeted out a thread talking about everything that it wants to do, saying Terra is more than UST. So that first post talking Terra is more than UST, we can just look at Do Kwon's Twitter page himself, and right here it's master of stablecoin. The stablecoin in Luna was Terra. Terra UST was the stablecoin. So saying Terra's more than UST and your entire personality was master of stablecoin, and it just kind of goes against itself. And then he goes on to talk about, inspiring to partake in discourse, all of this stuff, talking about Luna. Here he says, the key precepts underpin most schools of thought. The lunatic community is unparalleled in its passion, because you have to be an absolute lunatic to go back into this project and protocol after it collapsed to zero. I don't know why anyone would do it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But there were people when Luna was at pennies saying, we can just get back in, we can save it. So I don't think, maybe it's not that crazy, but it starts here talking about, the proposal to a recovery plan to make it whole again, to bring Terra Luna back from the dead. And right here, talking the Terra chain as it currently exists should be forked into a new chain without algorithmic stablecoins called Terra. So basically what it would be called right now. And the old chain be called Terra Classic. Both chains will coexist. So basically, he's going to fork the chain. He's going to give up on the recent one, and he's going to keep the name the same. So a little thing that I think would be kind of weird is keeping the name the same, because it's a little misdirection and kind of confusing for people if you keep the name the same and the project you reset. So they're going to go back to 1 billion tokens. There's almost 7 trillion right now. But if you go back and take the old name and switch the name of the old one, so the real Luna is going to be called Luna Classic, and the new one is going to be called Luna. So if you're looking up Luna, you're going to think that it went from this fraction of a penny back to a few dollars or $100 or whatever it would be when they refork it, when in reality, the old one, the Classic, is the real Luna. The new one is the one that they made the new name for and calling it or the original. So you can see it's just super confusing, and maybe it's meant to be that way to kind of show people, be like, look, Luna clapped, but it's back and it's good. It's back to a couple dollars, $5, $10. It's going up. You would have made so much money. And maybe trying to attract people back that way. And then on top of it, he says without algorithmic stablecoins, I'm pretty sure that was 90% of what Luna was. It was an algorithmic stablecoin. That was the entire purpose of it existing, to be in the Terra ecosystem. People like the Anchor protocol. So without that, what does Luna have to attract people? Because the UST was attractive because you can get 20% yield on it in Anchor as long as it didn't collapse like it did. So you just have a lot of things. Is Terra really have any value to it without the stablecoin component and the yield farming that comes with it? And he goes on to say Luna will be airdropped to the Luna Classic stakers, holders, and residual UST holders and essential app developers. So basically an airdrop. I know this is a big thing of the snapshot, when it's going to be taken or when it's going to be from. So who gets their Luna back and who gets their money back? It won't be back in full, because Luna's maybe doesn't go to the price it was before or whatever the market is there. But where do you take that snapshot? right before it crashed, so that everyone who bought in after just gets screwed. They don't get anything, and they're kind of like, oh well, you joined too late, or do you take it now? You can't take it now because you're trying to get back to the billion tokens. So it's just a pretty big mess. Talking about, we believe this token distribution, in addition to best efforts by LFG, the Luna Foundation Guard, to make UST holders whole, best solves for the varying interests and time preferences for each stakeholder group, and most important, creates the most viable path to revive the Terra ecosystem. Does it really, though? Because if you have Terra without the stablecoin, and we know the stablecoin collapsed, I don't know what it's at now, but like 17 cents, 19 cents, maybe even lower. But if that collapsed, people lost a lot of money. If you give people who lost a lot of money free tokens in this other project, why wouldn't they just sell to try and recoup some of their losses so that they don't have to know or don't have to deal with the heavy loss that they had in UST, which was supposed to be a stablecoin? It was supposed to be 1-to-1, and you weren't supposed to worry about it. So if you give people free tokens, you can't even blame them if they sell immediately because they want their money back. And if they do that, then you could create a whole other problem on your hands where the price collapses on launch because everyone's selling. So it would be a terrible look if Luna came out and reforked into a new one and that one collapsed just as fast. It would be a very bad look and is completely possible with how they're laying it out. And you can see him just talking about Terra 2.0, focus on developers. Developers will get immediate emergency allocation of Luna tokens to fund Runway, as well as a pool of tokens earmarked to align the interests of the base layer with its builders. Blah blah blah. Seems not so much community driven, like he said it was a community driven token. Seems like it's developer driven, but whatever. Call to action: we encourage Terra developers to signal support and commit to build on the fork of public channels ASAP. I mean, yeah, they need you to. If you don't do that, then their revival plan doesn't work. And TFL will be initiating governance proposals, so they're going to be seeing if people are willing to do this. If it passes, then it will coordinate with the fork with the validators next Friday, May 27th. So in 10 days from this recording is when this could be out in the open and could be out in the world if it gets passed, and it probably will get passed. I think Terra owns the vast majority of the Luna stuff, like the Terra Foundation, Terra Labs. I think that's what they're called. So I'm pretty sure they have the biggest say. They can do whatever they want. And just ending it saying, Terra community is my family. I'll always be here, no matter how hard it gets. Let's build it back up again, together. So not really getting so much arrogance out of him like he once was before, saying, it's funny seeing these different projects collapse. It's funny seeing these businesses collapse and in real time. He was always, oh my God, that was so funny. Or if someone critiqued him, and said had a valid point, like the person who once did, and all he did is call them poor. So instead of trying to fix the problem, he just said, "You're too poor to understand what I'm doing. I am a billionaire. I'm rich." So it makes sense that he would act like that. But it's funny to see if he continues acting like that after that exact thing that person said and warned them about seems to have happened to Terra Luna and collapsed it. So maybe he switches up and stops being so arrogant and calling people poor and calling people out, and seeing if his project will actually succeed. Because I don't know about you, but any chart that looks like this, I really don't have any interest in. Something 1 week to go to zero, I mean, it's just insane to see how fast it collapsed. If we look, we can see it's basically a straight line down from $86 to worthless. A straight line down. That would not be fun to have been in. If you had money in there, definitely not fun to be involved in and watch that happen so quickly and watch you lose everything. I just don't think anyone can have the confidence to go into Terra even after their fork and trying to revive everything because of what happened before. As well as they're still open to the same risk if they're giving people who are down significant amounts of money on UST free tokens. I mean, the majority of them will probably sell to try and recoup some losses. So Revival Plan has some problems in it, as well as being confusing and misguiding to try and keep Luna, the name and everything the same so that you can continue bragging about it, and then seeing if the price goes up, you can say, look at this, we're recovering, where our revival plan works so great. So just a lot of kind of misdirection, confusion, and stuff that might not work, and abandoning what was their entire kind of value play was UST interest and that anchor protocol. So it'll be interesting to see if it works out, if they launch it and it dies right away, or if it catches steam again. Only time will tell, but that's his revival plan for now. And we get to see in 10 days if it goes out or not. So that's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And I'll see you in my next video.